Forget the traditional Christmas movies. It's time to deck the halls with boughs of gay. This holiday season, we're bringing you a list of the top 10 gay Christmas movies that will make your heart melt and your spirits bright. So ditch the eggnog and grab a glass of wine, because it's time for a queer Christmas movie marathon.
My family already asked why we're not just together. All right.
Single all the way. This movie is on top of our list, not because it has some extraordinary plotline or is the bestest gay Christmas movie ever, but Single All the Way is Netflix's first gay rom-com movie, and whatever you may think of that, it is a cultural milestone. Single All the Way follows Peter, a perpetually single man who is desperate to get his overbearing family to lay off his single status. When he heads home for Christmas, Peter convinces his best friend Nick to pretend to be his boyfriend to make the holiday run as smoothly as possible. Now that's more or less the official premise for Single All the Way. But would you believe it? That plotline is thrown out of the window barely 15 minutes into the movie. It is an odd choice for the movie to completely abandon its original premise, of course. However, it was the right choice, because what the movie Single All the Way then transforms into is wildly more entertaining. It's pure mass market Christmas cookie cutter stuff that's only made vaguely interesting in very short bursts because of its queerness. The sexuality and gender of the protagonist shifts what can often be a rather sexist festive movie trope of the single hard-working cosmopolitan woman ultimately deciding that living in a small town baking cookies for a man is the better life, into something more progressive. It's also refreshing to see a gay film where coming out isn't the thrust of the conflict and where family members are all automatically accepting, a normal for many queer people that is rarely shown on screen.
Hello. You have a lovely home.
All the better to entertain you, my dear.
The Family Stone, what a cast. Diane Keaton, Rachel McAdams, Claire Danes, Sarah Jessica Parker. The latter leads the film as Meredith Morton, an uptight career woman who reluctantly spends Christmas with her boyfriend Everett's family. There, Everett plans to propose with the family's cherished heirloom ring, but finds himself in hot water with his relatives when they come into conflict with Meredith. During dinner, Everett's deaf gay brother Thad and his partner Patrick announce their plans to adopt a child, which prompts a fierce debate about sexuality and nature versus nurture. Carol Todd Haynes' Carol delves into the hidden world of lesbian women in the conservative 1950s. The film is a masterclass in surface aesthetics, where beauty masks the underlying complexities of human relationships. The film's opulent visuals evoke a longing for a world of glamour and sophistication, while also highlighting the stark contrast between outward appearances and inner desires. Todd Haynes' Carol delves into the hidden world of lesbian women in the conservative 1950s. The film is a masterclass in surface aesthetics, where beauty masks the underlying complexities of human relationships. The film's opulent visuals evoke a longing for a world of glamour and sophistication, while also highlighting the stark contrast between outward appearances and inner desires. Therese works behind the toy counter at a department store in New York City. She has a sort of boyfriend and a swirling group of pals who are all men, but there is something about her attitude behind that counter that suggests Therese is waiting for what she doesn't know. Then Carol, an elegant blonde, appears across the store floor. Their first interaction is businesslike, but in reality, it is a flirtatious scene, pierced with the thrill of danger. The two end up on an impulsive road trip, and out into America they go. The road trip is running from something and towards a place where their relationship has a possibility of existing. The production design, art direction, and set decoration of this film is absolutely superb. They create various settings: crappy motel rooms, dark New York bars, Carol's home, Therese's apartment, in a way that highlights the romance and the treachery of the situations. The color palette is a wash of light greens, deep pinks, gleaming gold, with pale tail-fin gas guzzlers roaring down empty roads. Carol and Therese are often shown staring through green-smudged or rain-streaked windows, a visual motif of their outsider status. When the film is successful, it shows the loneliness of people not allowed to be who they are. When intimacy finally comes, it is accompanied by loss. First love is often like that, but in Carol, it's intensified because their connection must remain hidden. Do you think there are enough gay Christmas movies? Tell us below in the comments section as to what you would like to see in future films.
You've always been my constant.
You've always been Gabby and Jenny.
A New York Christmas wedding set to marry her fiancé on Christmas Eve, Jennifer faces the weight of her childhood decision not to follow her heart. In a classic Christmas trope of being visited by an otherworldly being to show the protagonist what could have been, an angel appears to her just before her wedding and takes her on a journey of self-discovery. With the angel's guidance, she explores what life with her childhood best friend and the woman that she secretly loved and pinned after would have been like. This authentically wholesome film teaches the age-old lesson about being honest and true to oneself, a pretty relatable theme for LGBTQ+ folks.
Been with someone and you stay up until like 4 a.m. just talking about everything, and you're just like, I can't believe I get to exist at the same time as you.
No.
Let It Snow, adapted from the book by John Green, Maureen Johnson, and Lauren Miracle. Director Luke Snellen's Let It Snow follows a group of high school seniors on a snowy Christmas Eve, each with some void to fill or a vulnerability to be addressed. They're like junior versions of rom-com prototypes, like introverted Julie, who hangs out with a famous, secretly lonely pop star named Stuart and downplays what others would consider a fantasy day with him. Across town, the neurotic Tobin wants to say something to his longtime crush the Duke, but is just too gosh darn shy to do so. Then there's the frustrated Addie, who is so caught up in getting attention from her crummy boyfriend that she pushes away her truly accepting friend Dory, who has her own problems crushing on a girl who isn't out. The story takes place in a small town in Illinois, just like in those old John Hughes movies. It has a funny, lighthearted feeling, like an 80s teen comedy. There's even a character played by Joan Cusack, a snowplow driver who talks about Christmas Eve like it's the most important night ever, saying it's the eve of everything. But the story also has some serious moments. One of the funniest things is how they treat a beer keg like it's a special Christmas dinner. Even though they're too young to drink, they act like it's a big deal. It's a mix of silly humor and a bit of reality, just like in those classic John Hughes movies. One of the central storylines involves Dory, a lesbian character navigating her feelings for her best friend Addie. The film handles Dory's storyline with sensitivity, depicting the complexities of teenage relationships and self-discovery. Moreover, this movie contributes to LGBTQ+ representation in holiday-themed movies for young adults, a genre where such inclusivity has historically been limited.
Go meet the people that made my favorite person.
Happiest season. If you need a break from the regular happy, off-the-start kind of Christmas movies, then we have got a suggestion that will rub some nastiness to spice things up. On top of that, you get Kristen Stewart and Aubrey Plaza romancing each other. Abby and Harper are a couple who live together. One night, Harper invites Abby to her family's Christmas celebration, even though the latter doesn't really like big family gatherings. Abby nonetheless agrees, and she plans to propose to Harper during the visit. However, Harper hasn't told her family about their relationship. She's pretending that Abby is just her straight roommate who needs a place to stay for Christmas. When Harper finally tells Abby the truth, she is upset, but agrees to go along with the plan. As if that wasn't enough, Harper's family is very strange and difficult. Her mother is obsessed with appearances. Her father is a politician, and her sisters are both unpleasant. Abby has to pretend to be Harper's roommate while dealing with her family's weird behavior. Of course, don't go expecting a deep family drama, because Happiest Season isn't that. Maybe Christmas movies are not supposed to be deep films. Since we have a wide variety of movies in our list, what do you think makes a good gay Christmas movie? Is it the romance, the humor, or the holiday spirit? Don't forget to point it out in the comments below.
I know what it is. You're breaking up with him. Thank God. I'm gonna be cheating on you like that. Wait, what?
Tangerine. If you read a quick synopsis of Tangerine off the internet, you might think this is a documentary that is going to lead you into some dark, difficult alley, but it really isn't. Tangerine is a comedy about a transgender prostitute looking for her pimp's girlfriend on Christmas Eve, and the whole film has been shot with an iPhone 5S camera. Despite all these low-budgety traits, the movie is the real deal. As written by Sean Baker and Chris Bergach and directed by Baker, it's assured and immensely likable and truly independent in story and style. Cinderella, fresh out of a 6-week stint, is blindsided by her best friend Alexandra. Her lover, the charismatic pimp Chester, has betrayed her with Dinah, a cisgender woman. This revelation, unfolding in the vibrant neon-lit streets of Los Angeles, sets the stage for a whirlwind of revenge. This film creates its own world, one with different definitions of normal or acceptable than Hollywood or even mainstream indie cinema usually offers, and the film is most thrilling for that reason. The originality extends to the setting and how it's presented. Long sections of Tangerine consist of shots of people walking and walking and walking and walking to get anywhere in Los Angeles, sometimes after having waited on a bus that seemed as though it would never arrive, or taking a cab because they were too old or too drunk to drive their own vehicle, or because they don't have a vehicle or can't have one. You almost never see a Los Angeles movie about people who don't own cars. This is a minor point in the movie's greater scheme, but it seems like one key to appreciating the movie's specialness.
Was nestled all snug in her bed.
Anna and the Apocalypse comedy and horror movies are an unusual mix. They've created some great films like Young Frankenstein, Beetlejuice, and Get Out. But most of these movies are not as fancy as Anna and the Apocalypse, which is a Christmas-themed zombie comedy. Anna, a Scottish high school senior, dreams of traveling the world after graduation. However, her overprotective dad has other plans. She works at a bowling alley with her best friend John, who secretly likes her. They're friends with a couple, Chris and Lisa, and a rebellious American student named Steph. One morning, a zombie apocalypse breaks out. Anna and John encounter a zombie on their way to school and seek refuge at the bowling alley, where they meet up with Chris and Steph. Meanwhile, Anna's dad and Lisa are trapped inside the school with other students and teachers. The group must now navigate the dangerous world, find their loved ones, and survive the zombie apocalypse. One of the standout characters is Steph, a queer teen who brings a much-needed dose of authenticity and vulnerability to the story. Her struggles with self-acceptance and societal expectations are handled with sensitivity and grace. Steph's character is not defined solely by her sexuality, but it is an integral part of her identity. The film's LGBTQ+ representation extends beyond Steph. There are other queer characters in the background, adding to the overall diversity and inclusivity of the world. It's refreshing to see a film that doesn't shy away from depicting queer characters in a positive and nuanced way. The movie's many pop songs also adds to that energetic spirit. What the movie lacks in budget, it makes up with spunk. This film is one of those rare horror movies to leave you with good holiday cheer. Some of My Best Friends Are is a cultural milestone, an old gay movie with a complicated vibe. It is a slow and meandering film that follows a wide array of patrons, straight, gay, bi, and trans folks of a NYC bar one Christmas Eve in the early 70s. Each has their own little stories to tell, but it takes a while for those stories to unfold. Matter of fact, the first half hour of the movie really drags. There's lots of little comic moments and self-loathing characters in this overlong drama, but the movie is extremely realistic, less dated, and a great enjoyable watch. What makes the movie even more notable than being an early gay film is the bizarre cast of TV regulars that they amassed. Gary Sandy plays a belligerent hustler. Rue McClanahan is his huge-haired female counterpart. Comedian Fanny Flagg is the bar's hostess, who has to dance with gay couples so they don't get arrested for lewd conduct. Gil Gerard is a bisexual airline pilot whose boyfriend has some serious mommy issues. Dick O'Neill is a seemingly straight guy with a thing for trans women. Some of My Best Friends Are packs more than a dozen characters into a space during the holidays, letting the slice of life unstill life unfold before us casually. There's a lot to track, and it doesn't always succeed in a clear narrative or meaningful depictions of the many characters, but it captures a spirit of contention, of false safety, of drama, of desperation, of fear, of comfort, of affection, of escape. It captures a night of sorrow and loneliness and connection. Okay, generally we wouldn't suggest this, not at least out in the open, but if you want to watch this movie, you might want to try out some of those online pirated movie sites. Also, don't forget to use a VPN.
I'm sorry.
For what?
High school. Kids.
City of Trees Ainsley is an angsty 20-something returning to the small town she came from for the holidays. With the exception of a few people she's kept in touch with after leaving, no one in town knows much about her life. Sophie comes up in conversation before we ever meet her, a popular cheerleader in high school who has grown up into a kind, empathetic adult. Between helping Ainsley's mom with her flower beds during the frost to her work preserving old trees in town, it's hard to dislike her, if not fall in love with her yourself. That doesn't stop Ainsley though. Set on typecasting Sophie as the girl she believed her to be even then. It's what happens to many of us when we return to our hometowns after moving away, an inability to allow people to grow, adopting our memories of them onto their current personality, even if it's an unfair projection. It's a little bit jealousy, a little bit unrequited love, and a whole lot of making Ainsley feel like she's stepped back into the body of her teenage self where Sophie Michaels is concerned.
I already got it.
The Christmas setup. Okay, brace yourselves for a Christmas rom-com that's as cozy as your favorite sweater and as sweet as grandma's eggnog. Picture this. Hugo, a lawyer who's more stressed than a candy cane, heads home for Christmas. His mom, Kate, has a surprise in store, a reunion with his high school crush, Patrick. Cue the jingle bells and the butterflies. The chemistry between Hugo and Patrick is as delightful as a gingerbread house, and their banter is sharper than a Christmas tree needle. But will their blossoming romance survive the pressures of Hugo's demanding job and the long distance between them? The Christmas setup isn't groundbreaking cinema, but it's a delightful escape from the holiday hustle and bustle. It's got all the classic Christmas movie tropes, the twinkling lights, the cozy fireplace, and the heartwarming message of love and family. And let's not forget the fabulous supporting cast, including Ellen Wong as Hugo's hilarious best friend. That's it for today, folks. Don't forget to comment below and let us know if we missed any great gay Christmas movies.